today's episode, we're going to talk about happiness. Happiness. What is happiness?
I think happiness is a temporary emotional state. That is my understanding of what it is. What do you think, Lodi?
Happiness to me is just something that brings me joy for the time being.
So, Lodi, why do you think that this is an important topic in today's world?
It's important because, as far as everybody comes from different backgrounds, different ways of living. My grandma used to tell me that we're a product of our environment. Jazz brings me happiness, but it could bring somebody else like sad, because it has music can bring out so many emotions in you. So something that can make me happy could make someone else sad. My whole ideology of it is just it just depends on really the person.
Yeah, I think it's an important topic right now because so many people, they just want to find happiness in their life. That's when they wake up in the morning, they're like, how am I going to be happy today? What's going to make me happy?
Merriam-Webster's definition is a state of well-being and contentment. Everybody is looking for happiness.
Mm-hmm.
And when you ask that person, well, what is happiness?
Yeah.
Do they even know what it is they're looking for?
Yeah.
And it can go both ways.
Yeah.
Honestly, when people are searching, for that, because it could be, something they felt as a child or something, they went through, and then once they get there, things change, times have changed. Once you get there, it's like, oh, this is not what I thought it was going to be. When people are trying to find that pursuit of happiness, you really just have to be careful of what you're really asking for.
What is the difference in happiness, joy, and peace? And which should we seek? Let me give you some of the answers that I was given here. One is you can't have happiness and joy without peace. So one guy says here, happiness is circumstantial, joy and peace are fruits of the Spirit. This guy is saying happiness is circumstantial.
So why is it relevant in today's world, John?
Right now, the world is in turmoil. People are just lost. I wouldn't necessarily say people are miserable. Some people don't even know what they are. When you ask somebody, are you happy? And they say they're happy, sometimes they don't even know what that means to them. But that doesn't mean that they're in a bad place. And I'm not saying all, but some. So one of the best descriptions that I had constantly kept hearing was, when you have peace and joy, everything around you could be falling apart, but you're okay.
Through God's love, you can have that inner peace knowing that it's going to be okay.
So I think what I'm hearing and what people are saying is that peace is important because it's the absence of things that make people miserable or unhappy. Let's talk really quickly about the science of happiness.
Okay.
There's neurotransmitters, chemicals in our brain. I think dopamine is the biggest precursor or the largest, most common neurotransmitter in the brain.
But I like to do things that get that dopamine running, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that cause dopamine. When you hear good music, when you taste good food.
We as people are constantly chasing this idea of being happy.
Euphoria.
And
a feeling of euphoria.
I like the word you said, because euphoria. Can you be euphoric all day long, 24 hours?
If you find out how, let me know.
No, you can't. But I agree. Like, there's a level of euphoria that comes with hits of happiness. I can tell you, if you find joy in your life, moments of happiness become more frequent, but they're not constant.
So how much do you think happiness is based on your environment versus how much do you think it's based on like who you are fundamentally as a person internally? Because like some people are just unhappy people.
Often the responses were happiness is circumstantial. I don't honestly believe that it's fully circumstantial. Some of it is who you are. Culturally, we're divided on so many things.
How would you say that like different cultures and individuals understand happiness or think about happiness?
It's funny you say that, because I was listening to an Indian guy talk about happiness. He's the guy who was saying that as a child, we don't know what unhappiness is like. And then as you grow into adulthood, you start to like find situations where I'm trying to be happy. You're not necessarily unhappy, but I'm trying to find these moments of joy and happiness. Then happiness only comes from moments of circumstantial exposure, getting a new car. Mm-hmm. He made an example of how we have come such a long way. Like how we are so not happy with our situations. And he kind of like what we said earlier. 100 years ago, we didn't have cars that were like 250 horsepower, right?
Man, we have GPS.
Yeah, he said, yeah, he said we are not happy with what we are, and he said doesn't matter how much we have, we will never be fully happy. Class, their social class, social status. Some people are unfortunately unhappy with the situation that we're born in, what race that we're born in.
So one of the interesting things I heard, the societies that are more achievement based, they base their success more on achievements, they tend to be more unhappy societies. Okay. Do you think that happiness is more of like a short-term thing? Is it a long-term thing? Is it sustainable, not sustainable?
Well, I think a lot of the people, and I hate answering for other people, but I believe that in their answer, when they say joy and peace, their belief is in God.
Yeah.
They're at peace and joyful before happiness as a result of that. Like they find happiness outside of that. But I find peace and joy in helping others. Like I'm happy that I did it because I knew I was supposed to. Because if I hadn't, man, I'd feel a lot worse. Like, man, I should have helped that guy. And part of that comes back, like Lodi was saying, or I was earlier, some of that goes back to when I was young, where I was poor, dude, and nobody stopped to help me. I walked in, nobody stopped to help me.
The important thing here is you should be doing the right thing in spite of what you're feeling about it.
God's gonna provide for me somehow or another, and He has. Like I'm on God's time right now, and that makes me happy, dude. 'Cause, I try to bring a moment of joy to those around me. People see peace, joy, and happiness all through different spectacles, all through different viewpoints. Some people even mix them up. Like they don't fully understand.
Yeah, and I think it
is.
is really important to have a distinguishment between like the earthly part of this and the more spiritual, heavenly side of it. Because it's so easy for us to use the same word to describe one that's earthly versus one that's heavenly, but they have completely different meanings.
You're challenged throughout your life. You're going to be challenged against your peace and joy. And the question is, how do you, if you're strong, I believe if you're strong in your faith, you will overcome that, right? It's going to get tough.
I don't think you're just going to overcome that. I think that those people are really going to thrive in that environment. I mean, those are the people that are living the good life, the good life.
Right.
This is like what you dream about. This is what you want.
My outro is you find your joy, you find your peace. And with that, you're going to find happiness is going to come naturally in your circumstances. And but when you're not happy, when you're not in a situation where you're happy, you're gonna be okay.
For me, who is living the good life? That's how you're gonna be happy. When you're living the good life, that's when you're gonna be happy. And for me, the thing that makes those people so blessed, or the reason they're living the good life, is because the only thing they can do is sit there and think about God and just focus on who God is.
For me, what brings me happiness, finding happiness is just find something that's important to you and just pursue it, because, everybody's version of happiness is different.
Well, thank you both for joining me for the story of Everyman, and we will see you next time.
Later.